What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we've got a box from Ruger. And this is the new FN57 or 57. I'm probably gonna end up calling it the 57 because it's the 57 caliber that it's chambered in. Kind of a hot new gun, and I got to take a look at it a little in SHOT Show, but I figured why release the SHOT Show video when I could just buy one. I'm pretty excited about this gun. This is one of the main guns people were interested in when I put the patron poll out. And since the patron supporters pay for all these guns, so you guys can see them on the channel, they get first dibs on what actually shows up on the channel. And appreciate them, appreciate their feedback, and appreciate them helping me purchase the gun. I'm also very excited about this gun because it takes a very famous gun, the FN57, and it improves upon it in a number of ways, in my opinion, and also does that for a significantly less price, or less money, I should say. So let's start with the fact that it is a polymer framed. I think it's a 4.7 inch barrel. It's got a cool little slide cutout here that reminds me very reminiscent of the Glock 34. It's got a high def green front sight with an adjustable rear blacked out sight. Very awesome sight setup. It's got an interesting takedown, which we'll go over through the full review, but essentially you just push out a push pin, turn it, and the slide comes right off, which is pretty cool. It's got an ambi safety on both sides, and the reason why it does have a safety, even though it is from Ruger, and Ruger's pretty famous for having manual safeties on guns, is because instead of being striker fire, technically this is single action. It's got a little hammer back there, an internal single action hammer that is covered up by the back of the slide, and it actually works in the same way that a 1911 would. Slide stop right here, single-sided, and it also has a single-sided magazine release, which I do believe is reversible, but don't quote me on that, but I think it is. The trigger itself, I've dry fired this gun a little bit, but I actually haven't shot it at all, is entertaining. It feels very light at the end, but it does have a ton of take-up, and if you're calling it a single action gun, which technically it is, it has one of the worst single action trigger pulls you'll ever find. So you can see you got a lot of take-up there, a little bit of creep, and all the way at the end, all the way back at the very end of the trigger guard there, it hits the wall and then breaks. And it's a little bit deceiving, so I'll be interested to see whether that aids or is a detriment to accuracy. It also has a very long Picatinny rail, which kind of gives it a very cool look. And because the FN5N is, in fact, basically a small rifle caliber, as you can see there, the magazine has to be relatively long and relatively wide, so they make the grip wide as well. However, unlike the FN57, it's a little bit more narrow, so the overall circumference is not too bad. So even if you have smaller hands, you can still reach it relatively fine. For me, it's very comfortable. And they also have some cool milling on the front of the slide there that gives it kind of a unique, kind of mean looking look. And I really like this gun. It looks very unique, and the texture on the gun actually isn't that bad at all. I picked this up from my local gun store, and I got it for right around $700. And they also had the ammunition in stock. And the 5.7 is not very popular in my personal opinion, not because it's an interesting, very fast, light, small caliber. These are only 40 grain rounds as opposed to 115 from 9mm, but it moves very, very quickly, and it has the reputation of some of this ammo can penetrate body armor. But the reason why I don't think it's very popular is because the ammunition is expensive. This is the cheapest ammo that I've been able to find, and it was $26 a box for 50 rounds of it. So it isn't what I would consider a plinking round. However, it's just inexpensive enough to where you can have some fun with it every once in a while, and it does have some practical uses as well, which we'll get into in the full review. But let's take it out now for the first shots video and go out and put some rounds down it, see if it's reliable, and see if it's accurate. All right, so I apologize for the wind today. We got about 20-25 mile-an-hour winds out here in Iowa, and it's about 25 degrees, putting the temperature around 0, so I'll be a little shaky as well, but I wanted to get this gun out to you quick. I don't have paper up today to zero this gun, so we're just kind of go off Kentucky windage, and I can't put paper up because of the 25 mile-an-hour winds. The paper will just blow away. So we'll just shoot it here at about 40 yards or so. All right, so it seems to be shooting a little high for me. We'll go up and shoot some steel plates, and we'll throw some paint on it and just see where we end up. Kind of do a group that way. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna load up a mag, and I'm at about 15 yards from my Wilson Combat Steel target down there, and it has little knurling on it, so it has like a little target box, and we're just gonna aim for the center of that target box and then go up and kind of see where I group and see if I gotta go high or low. All right, we got a pretty good group down there. Let's go take a look at it. All right, so I was aiming dead center here, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 hits right there. So that 15 yards, that's a pretty good group. So basically, that's probably just me. So basically, we're just down to the left, low and left a little bit, which normally I would attribute to trigger control. However, with that tight of a group at 15 yards, it's probably the gun a little bit. And it does have adjustable sights. Adjustable sights are well known for needing adjustment when you get them. So we'll play with it a little bit.
Okay.
Recoil is very manageable. A little bit lighter than a 9mm.
Go.
All right, so the nice thing about the rifle-esque type round is that it's very narrow. So they're able to put about 20 rounds in the magazine. However, since these magazines are new and it's very cold outside, we're probably going to be putting about 16 to 18 in them, just because it's a little bit easier that way. It's kind of funny that even though it's an incredibly fast round, it doesn't knock the plates around near as much as a 9mm, which is kind of funny because you can kind of see the kinetic energy take place when you shoot steel. Like you can see the difference between a 10mm, 45, 357, 9mm. The 5.7, it definitely has the lowest of all those calibers I listed. As you can see there, I'll shoot this swinger plate and it won't even move. Still very easy to be accurate with the gun. Like I said, I'm gonna have to sight in the sights on another day. I don't really want to do it because it's a little cold, so I'm just Kentucky windaging it over a little bit. But overall, I think the gun is very easy to shoot. As you can see here, we'll do some rapid fire. Now, one of the things that's preventing me from being as fast as something like a 1911 or a CZ is you see when I pull the trigger, there's a lot of distance on that reset, a lot. And it's a deceiving reset as well. It's kind of hard to tell when it's actually reset. It's all the way out there. So you can see then I got to come all the way back again and all the way out every single time. It's definitely longer than any of the common guns that you're going to be going through, like a Glock or SIG P320 or 1911 CZ, something like that. So it's going to shoot just a little bit slower cadence of fire because it takes longer for your hand to go back and forth to actually engage the trigger. So now we're back here at about 35 yards. We'll do that same test on the Wilson Combat target again, and we'll see what kind of groups we're getting at 35 yards. So this time I won't shoot at the small head box, I'll shoot at the large center box. Failure to fire. I don't know if that was ammo or what. My fingers are starting to freeze now too. It's starting to get a little too cold out here. All right, we'll put a good group down there at 35. We'll go check it out. That's my group. I'm aiming right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-ish. So you can see those two are probably me. That's probably trigger control. It's pretty famous to go low and left when you're shooting with pretty terrible trigger control, which happens when you got thin gloves and it's cold. No excuses, but 0 degrees. And so this is probably my overall group right here, which is obviously just slightly left of center and just a little bit low. Yep.
Okay.
Or I don't have enough. Don't worry, I have another magazine.
Thank goodness.
Wow. Slide lock failure. You can see the round is nose dived into that. I wonder if I can, nope. Kind of funny watching them not move at all. Kind of feels like I'm running it with a 22. So now we're going to take the Ruger out of 50 yards and we're going to shoot just a hair right because we know it's landing a little bit left, and we'll see how we do here. And it's kind of actually difficult for me to hear the pings, so it'll be interesting to see through the wind in the ear pro if I can actually hear them hit. So far so good. Kind of going a little bit faster. Trigger control goes out the window. We'll move back a little bit, see how we do. All right, so now we're back here at 100 yards, and I went back a little further than I normally do because it's got a long sight radius, and the 5.7 shoots very flat. So I want to see how it does out to 100 yards, and again, we'll just aim at the right of the plate. Missed the last one, I think.
I think so.
Too bad. Overall, I think some of the deficiencies on the accuracy is more likely to be the shooter because I'm not shooting very well today. My hands are very cold. But honestly, we did have a couple of reliability problems, and out of 200 rounds, we had 2 hiccups. And maybe that's part of the break-in process, but who knows? It's very reminiscent to me of the Ruger Security 9. Kind of feels like the Ruger Security 9, kind of even looks like a better version of the Ruger Security 9, but hopefully it doesn't have the same reliability problems that the Ruger Security 9 had, at least for me. I know that Ruger guns are well known to be reliable and accurate for everybody else, but for some reason for me, they seem to have some issues, which is why traditionally I tend to stay away from them. Well, this one was not only very requested, but it was too cool to pass up. So I'm excited for the, I'm so cold. I'm excited for the future of the 5.7, and I'm excited to see where the caliber goes from here. Right now you've got the FN 5.7 and you've got the Ruger 57, and then you also have the P90, which is chambered in the 5.7, along with several other calibers as well, like some AR stuff. But honestly, I don't see the reason to buy an AR in 5.7. Why buy an already reliable and relatively powerful caliber like the 223? Why would you buy a much weaker caliber that's unproven? It doesn't make any sense to me. Some of the cons that I see from this gun right away are going to be the 2 reliability problems, and also I'm a little pessimistic about this caliber's ability to stop a threat simply by the kinetic energy that I see on the plates. It just doesn't give me a whole lot of optimism when it comes to hitting somebody and knocking them down if you needed to. I can see this is a really good varmint gun, something like that. I've heard people actually shoot and kill deer with this, so maybe I could be wrong. Kinetic energy is not everything. There's also hydrostatic shock and things like that, the ability to cause a temporal cavity inside a human being, which is how 223 works. I'll have to do a little bit more research on the caliber, honestly, for my full review, but right now I'm a little bit on the fence about it. So we'll see. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.